What's your birthday?
21st May.
21st of May. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Woo.
Yes.
Cusp.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice.
Whenever people are becoming vegetarian and vegan, and that is a good starting point for getting into the Vedic thing, like that is the right starting
Yes.
point. Yeah. So and you've been obviously like giving so many talks and stuff, like you've been telling people to become that, like a whole lot. So the thing which happens like in the West is like when people become vegetarian and vegan, again, they don't know what to eat, right? Because the thing is like whenever they came to India, like for example in India, like my family or ancestors or out here have been vegetarian for thousands of years, right? So the thing is that they have figured out what to eat in that diet. So the thing in the West was that they could have learned that from a culture which has been doing that for so long, rather than just experimenting as they've been doing for the last 30, 40, 50 years. Like
Yes.
they experiment with this, experiment with that, and then that doesn't work out, and then they start with raw, then they start with just fruits, and then they say like, okay, I'm just going to eat fruits, I'm just going to, then if they just eat fruits, what happens is body becomes acidic because fruit is just acid mostly. So a lot of things happen in this kind of confusion about diet and everything. So like it is good like if people like you also who are going towards the Vedic direction and who have had slight inclining towards that, start telling people to actually take the easy way out and learn from what is already there, like so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, like basically, like that's that's what I'm like.
Yeah, well, the Indians used to shine the light for a long, long time
Yes.
about vegetarian diet, and unfortunately, India was conquered by Western forces, i.e., Portuguese, French, Dutch, English, Islam, etc.,
Yes.
and they were all forced by the Inquisition for a few hundred years prior to coming to India, and they were instructed in the death cult of corpse eating.
Yes.
In the West.
Yes.
Yeah, the Roman Empire was based on reducing man to an animal, to a plebeian.
Yeah.
So you have the patrician class. It's always, you see, it's funny, in the West we have classes. In the East you have the caste system, and they're both valid and they're both the same.
Yes. Yes.
The caste system is real.
Yes.
And this is what people don't understand. The Brahmin, the Brahmin is pure vegetarian because he is going to the Brahmajyoti, the Brahmananda, Vrindavan.
Yes. Yes.
So they know that the Shudra, like the Shivites, the Agori Shivites, for instance, they're anything, left-hand path. They'll do anything goes. You can eat feces, you can eat...
That also I'll explain to you a little bit about that. This Agori thing.
Yeah.
The Sanskrit term Agori came from Aghor. Ghor means like what the English word gore is, G-O-R-E, gore. Gory stuff. Like really horrid, putrid stuff. That's called ghor. Aghor means non-putrid. Means not going into that direction. So Aghor actually means not eating the corpses or not going in a negative direction and not... But the English people created a sect in India, which they paid them money to do such stuff, just to give that this is what these people do. There was no such sect in India actually. It was created. It was actually created just to give a bad impression of the Vedic thing to the rest of the world, that this is what Vedic is. Okay, because so the rest of the world will get horrified, that this is actually the situation. Because I think in the if you go to the where I come from, the Brahmins and all the other classes up to the ground level are vegetarian. Even the Shudras are vegetarian.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yes.
the difference between the Shudra vegetarian diet and the Brahmin vegetarian diet is that Shudras are not so clear about the balance of the diet. They can be
Yes.
more extreme with different things, and the Brahmins will be
Yes.
more and more balanced. So the more the balance of the diet happens, that becomes more Brahminical, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean,
Yes.
there are places where even Shudras are vegetarian, then that is a more uplifted society. Okay, as a whole.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone. Once upon a time, not so long ago, only a few hundred years ago, everyone was vegetarian. But what happened is the Brahmin caste in the West, which is the Hebrew caste.
Yes.
This is what the Hebrew is. Hebrew, Brahma is the head. Brahma, Aries, the ram.
Yes.
So it's the high ram in Hebrew system.
Yes.
So in the West, the caste system is like this.
Yes.
The Brahman is Hebrew.
Yeah.
Then the next one, the Kshatriya.
Yeah.
This is a Jew. This is what you call a Jew.
Yes.
Supposed to be,
Yes.
Then the Vaishya.
Yeah.
This is we call an Israelite.
Yeah.
And then the bottom caste, the Shudra, in the West, they made that the Christian caste.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
and Gentile, you can call it like what?
Gentiles.
Yes.
Gentiles.
Yes.
So what they did, because the higher castes became corrupted in the Kali Yuga.
Yes.
Then what happened is a demonic religion began through the Jesuits, through the Inquisition of the Jesuits about 500 years ago.
Yes.
They started an Inquisition.
Yes.
And they started teaching this death cult of murdering animals and feeding it to the Gentiles.
Yes.
So they brought that to India and they fed that. They corrupted the Brahmins to feed the Shudras as well to eat flesh.
Yes.
So that's why it arrived in India. But before that, the Indians were
pure. But the point was that when Westerners in the 1960s and stuff started coming to know about the Indian thing and they started coming to India, that's when the vegetarianism with the hippie movement, that's when the vegetarianism started coming back into the West. Basically, it started like having its but the thing which I found funny was that when they came to India and they learned vegetarianism thing, that there's a thing called that, because West by that time had become fully meat eating as a whole, so on every class. So then what the diet should be, they should have learned the diet. They should have learned what to eat in vegetarian. But they, because of the ego or whatever, like whatever the thing was, they didn't actually learn the diet. So again, even right now, people become vegetarian in the West and then they are eating just pasta and salads, and that's all they think. They're vegetarian now. They're just eating pasta and salads. Now pasta is no good for you, and salads just like that also harms your system, the way the salads are and the stuff like that right now. So they don't actually know what to eat still, even after they become vegetarian.
No,
they don't know.
They're still eating rubbish. And I ask them, do you go to the shops to get your food? You can't get real food at shops. You have to get it from gardens. You've got to go to your garden. You've got to go to organic. You can't go to the shops and think you're going to become a vegetarian. It's not going to work.
Yes. And even even the balance thing, like in India still right now, the lentils or whatever, how the villagers produce stuff at village level, that is pretty much like organic garden sort of agriculture only. It's not organized agriculture and stuff like that. So you actually can get those kind of foods in like the local vegetables in the villages and stuff like that. So that is still there. But I just don't understand why West did not learn this thing, and still refusing to learn it to this day. Even though people are becoming vegan and vegetarian, they are still refusing to learn that even today, which is like, to me, like a sense of madness. Like in the West, people started eating spirulina and they thought that is going to be good, until it frazzled them completely. It's an algae, and then there are all kinds of trends. Like then people are starting goji berries, then people start becoming fruitarians, and people just, every kind of extreme madness happens in this regard, but they don't come to the balance or understanding of a diet, like of people who have been doing that for thousands of years and who know what to eat and how to eat it. So I mean, that's a crazy thing which I find in the West. And since you've been putting up the vegetarian thing for a long time and you're being very loud and vocal about the whole thing, so if people like you start saying that in the West to the Westerners, I think that'll have an impact, and they'll start learning from people who actually know about vegetarian diet. So that'll be a big step forward. I would consider that. And the whole Vedic thing of how to organize your being, your physical body, when you actually go in that direction. And because all the habits from this carcass eating, meat eating things are still in their system. So when they're making that transition, it's very important that they understand the basics centering of the body and all of those kind of things to get to a better diet and a better consciousness and way of being. That thing should happen basically, so that it becomes a holistic thing and not just a fad of some sorts.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to talk to you, because
so you have to have knowledge.
You have to have knowledge, and why not have it from people who have actually been doing that for so long, rather than reinvent the wheel. That's what I was saying before. Why not get that and learn that kind of thing? I mean, it's not so hard to learn. It doesn't take very long. It's it's a very, very what lentils are and why lentils should be eaten, and what kind of grains and what kind of bad things and what kind of seeds and what kind of, and if and fruit is just an accessory. It's not diet. People in the way, some people think fruit is diet. They don't understand it's an accessory. It's not a diet by itself. So to get to a proper way of being on this earth, so that they can have a comfortable life first within their body and feel better. Because to do any kind of sadhana, like meditation or any kind of centering, meditation just means centering. The word medi comes from Latin medi, which is middle, okay, which comes from Sanskrit madhya. Madhya became medi, which is meditation now, basically centering. So if you're centering your body all the time and you're speaking from the center, you're always meditating, basically. So because people think meditation is something you do for half an hour, 1 hour in the West, you go to a meditation class and you just meditate, and then 23 hours you do whatever, and so meditation was a 24/7, 365 thing. It was not just a thing which you did for 1 hour, so that whole concept, meditation, diet, all of those things can be learned from a Vedic angle properly. And it's time now that when this awareness has reached this level, which you have been telling people in the West to do, and I think a lot of people have heard and a lot of people have changed after you have been speaking these things. So if you speak these things out to them, I think they'll learn more and take this next step forward,
Yes.
Because I mean, obviously that has been successful to quite an extent. A lot of people are leaving meat now in the West. That's the reality. It's every day, thousands do. Every day, thousands of people are leaving it. So, but then they have to have a direction after that. There has to be something where they actually know what to replace it with. Because what happens is, if they don't replace it with the proper diet, then they blame meat was good. Now, I tried this, but it didn't work out. Feeling I don't have energy.
Yes, well, some people do struggle and they do fail, but it's not the fault of the diet, the vegetarian diet. It's the fault of the individual who didn't execute his decisions correctly and didn't have a good worked out practice about the true human plant-based diet. So it's like saying, look, I tried going to the gym for 3 months, but it didn't work out. So now, well, it's not the gym's fault. It's how much effort, and really your intent and what you put in. So the point is with diet, even in the West, the West was also vegetarian. The whole world was. So
for example, the Essenes. Yeah. But the diet of the Essenes was same as what the Indian Brahmin diet was. So if they were vegetarian on that level, then the diet was similar. It was a balanced diet of the Essenes. It's not different from the diet of so what I'm saying is, but the diet was preserved more in India amongst the Brahmin class, in in the present moment. Like if you look at the present moment, that has been preserved more in the Brahmin class in India, especially northern India. I won't say so much southern India. So so then from that pocket, people could have extracted that information and used it around the world. Like it's a template which could have been used, and because and that's what hasn't happened, and that's why so much confusion I see personally around everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Pythagoras went to India. Plato went to India.
Yes.
And they were vegetarians. And so in the West, vegetarians were nicknamed Pythagoreans for 2,000 years until the Jesuits came along and started teaching the whole world. They even infiltrated India. India has never been able to get rid of the Jesuits. They've been banned out of every country on the plane of our earth, but not India. They're right in there.
Yeah, I'll explain.
They reduced them all to a common, a common herd.
Yes,
and so
right now in India, every day more people are becoming meat eaters. Okay, so in the West, more people are becoming vegetarian every day, like that's which I said before. In India, more people are becoming meat eaters with each passing day. Okay, that is the reality of the situation. But those families which were vegetarian in India all throughout, they have the actual diet thing down pat, what a vegetarian diet is. And that's what the West needed to learn from, actually, which could create, because in the West, the top class would never teach that. And I think by the 1950s, 60s, hardly anybody was remaining in the West who could actually have the diet, proper diet of, and understood what that diet was. The Pythagoreans, whatever, they must have gotten lost in time out here in the West, where the thing was not there. Because first thing is, India is like a land which is more an agricultural society anyways, because the climate is like that, and you have a warm weather, you have 3 seasons of growing. Like Europe is like, you have only 1 season of growing, and it's a more tougher climate zone than India is. Like, India is a very easy climate zone where things grow very easily, and it's a very, very, like, and the temperatures are good for human existence. Like life is easier in that way. So in Europe, obviously, the weather has changed as well. I think Europe's weather was warmer at one point, and it has become colder as time has gone on. So Europe has had a change of weather, like from a more milder climate to a more extreme colder climate right now. So which has obviously thwarted growing of food and agriculture and things like that. And so there has been the pocket which has been left is the Gangetic civilization. What is the Gangetic civilization, where the vegetarianism reached its sort of peak, I would call it. Like so from that part, if beings learn from that, so that would be a good start. Like, and it will clear up a lot of confusion in regards to what to eat. So if people are going towards that, I would think that will be a very good start from where you have been training people to leave meat, and leave that carcass eating. So that has been your message for a while now. So I was pleased by what you were doing, and was that because, and strongly, because a lot of people are not so clear and strong about this thing, like they're a bit wishy-washy about the whole meat versus vegetarianism thing, like there's a general wishy-washiness, that's fine too, and that is fine too, sort of situation, so, but you have been quite clear about it, like, and I found when you became vegetarian, after that you actually sort of going towards the Vedic thing automatically, like you started going towards it, it automatically happened that energy field started happening for you as well, like so.
Yeah, there was a stage for a couple of years where I did a lot of Vedic wisdom. I did a lot, and especially Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
And so I was going to show a picture here from Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
Obviously, you see all of these great philosophers of the past who were vegetarian and brought the vegetarian wisdom to the West and maintained it for thousands of years.
Yes.
They all went to India, of course, and the Indians as well knew that Bhagavad Gita teaches that if we eat animals, we will have to experience being eaten. We will return as an animal and experience what it means to be eaten.
The karmic cycle. Yes.
Yes, this is the same. This is the same teaching in the Hebrew scriptures. It's in everything. It's in Christianity. All the sacred teachings teach this. So they teach, and especially this is more important to the one who is the Brahmin, who has the philosophical life now. He's not a Kshatriya because he doesn't want to be the king. He doesn't want to be an administrator. And he's not a Vaishya because he's not interested in getting rich and being a merchant. He's interested in God. He's interested in returning to Bhagavan and going back to source to be one with God and different to God at the same time. So he cannot be eating his murdered friend. You can't do that. You can't mix human blood and animal blood and expect to ascend the essential being. Because the animal is lower than the human. You're bringing yourself down. Whereas the plants, now they were specially made as a food for both animals and humans. As it says also in the book of Genesis, all the way for thousands of years, humanity was vegetarian. Provably, most Christians will disagree with this idea that the world was once vegetarian. Well, it's in the Bible. From Adam and Eve all the way to Noah, who is Manu in the Vedic system. That's provably 2,000 years of no carcass crunching. Humanity lived for thousands of years. And thousands of years were vegetarian, provably, if you want to use the Bible to prove your arguments. And then after Noah, they started eating flesh and became degenerate decrepites with diseases.
Obviously, Manu, the word human comes from Manu only. Man, Manu, human. Human, like, so that all comes from Manu only. Like, there, if you find that not even for just Brahmins, even for Kshatriyas and Vaishyas and Shudras, if they are actually vegetarian, then they will have a better way of operating. Even that, like, it's not that, and there, like in India, there are still a lot of pockets where even the Shudras are vegetarian. Okay, so in those pockets, like, you can see the difference as to how the society functions, what is the way of being and stuff like that, and it's totally different. The energy vibration of that kind of situation is totally different from, and if the merchant also is vegetarian, then he will not be corrupt like the merchants of now, that it won't have that corruption and and this like the complete lack of morals and disciplines about what they do. And so like in any type, the Brahmin will still be more sophisticated and it will be eating less, it will be obviously more balanced than the other classes, but then still others can be vegetarian too. It's not that they can't be vegetarian as well, like, and you said, like, thousands of years that was the case. So all classes were vegetarians, like even Adam and Eve were surely not killing the animals out there in the Garden of Eden, like, I mean that's for sure. I mean, like, so, like, so I mean, and I think everything was Vedic at one point anyways. I think Christian and all of this Hebrew thing is like the Brahma, they call it Abraham, they just change the change the words from Sanskrit into a little bit here and there, and like, and then it has become this, like, as it is something different around the world, around this whole earth plane, everything plane. This is the plane. Everything was Vedic. It was like, and it was vegetarian, and there was a knowledge of what to eat. And I think right now we can get to that knowledge through the pockets left in the land called India now. Like, like, so that's where the, like, real pure information is. And I think Westerners have come to India for so long, for 500 years now at least, since the Portuguese time, and they have not learned that. It's a surprise to me. Like, even when the hippies came after that, they came out here where I'm sitting in this place right now. It's called Goa. They came to Goa, and then they still did not learn. And there's so many like movements have happened, but they've not learned the basic diet. I mean, and it's a surprising thing to me. It just surprises me no end. Why, if you're going to turn vegetarian, would you not learn the diet? Like, it's a mind-boggling thing for me. Like, personally, like, it's a, like, and this is the topic I wanted to discuss with you because you are so fervent about this the vegetarian thing, and you're very clear about it, and a lot of people are listening to you. So if you spread that message out, so if it comes through you, they listen. Like, so that's why I think it's a good thing that we are having this talk. Like,
it is. It's it's so beneficial. Most people argue either or on a pure on a pure physical benefit level, whereas my argument is beyond the physical benefit. It's the spiritual benefit, because as the universe brings souls through the elements, from the mineral to the plant, through the animal, through the human, it also brings the 4 castes of humans, and lovingly, as we incarnate, we grow in our caste. And originally the system was that the Brahmins were to teach all the lower ones, and not to treat them like goy or Gentiles or low life, to abuse them like the West does with the goy. So they were to teach people, the pure way to God and to source. So what happened when the demonic activity increased in the last few hundred years? They also taught through their agencies, which are the Jesuits and many others. I just use the Jesuits because they run the Inquisition, the Holy Roman Inquisition, and the Inquisition is still active. You can see in Wikipedia that in 1965 they took on a new name, the Holy Doctrine of the Sacred Faith, or something like that. So it's still running, and it's still the Jesuits and their corpse-eating traditions, which is demonic, which they are teaching to people. So my point about the castes, the only reason I mention the castes is I want to reach out to people to understand that in order to get back to God, you must go to Brahman stage. You must be a Hebrew, and this is truth. But you can do it in one lifetime. You can go from Shudra all the way to Brahma with your heart open and the correct vegetarian diet. The Brahmins always taught this to the lowest castes. Remember the plant-based diet to get back to source. But when the Kali Yuga comes, all the castes get corrupted, even the Brahmins. Unfortunately, not all of them, but many do, and they fall into
most of them.
They become Mayavadis. And so what they do then is they don't. So when we argue, many times we're arguing on Facebook with people that argue all these lovely good points about why we should be eating flesh. But we shouldn't be having this argument, because these people are not accepting to become Brahmins in this lifetime. They are wishing to eat meat because they're addicted to blood. They love their meat, and they're going to do it till the day they die and have a heart attack or bowel cancer, which they will. And they have to reincarnate until they learn their lesson that they have to become a Brahmin to get back to source. This is the point I've been teaching in all my presentations for many years now.
In the West, like the cycle of pain and torture. The West has out of cycle of pain and torture. I think that they've gotten used to that cycle of pain and torture. Like that's why in the West, all of the things, not just diet, everything, like the sports, everything, this Tour de France, people going on a bicycle for 1 week, just torturing their body. People torture their body in the West every time. The whole system is just about body torture. In the West, if somebody asks me what is West about, and I would just simply call it is about body torture. Torturing the body is nothing to do with anything else. It's simply about torturing the body. I mean, the whole system is designed for torturing the body. Okay, and you're not going to gain anything torturing the body. You're just going to go to a hell state, which is called Narak, in the hells, because that's the realms of torture, and people have gotten used to it. I mean, in India, like for example, like there are villages right now still where even Shudras are vegetarian. The Brahmins are vegetarian, Shudras are vegetarian, but the diet is different. The Shudras eat different kind of vegetarian diet, and the Brahmins eat different kind of vegetarian diet. It's all vegetarian, but the diet is different. So, but that's where like the West has a chance. They can learn the Shudra vegetarian diet, or they can learn the Brahmin vegetarian diet. Okay, and like who would they want to learn from? Like, right now, whatever is like become Indian vegetarian restaurants, whatever, like which is there everywhere in the world. That's not Brahminical diet. Like even in a vegetarian restaurant in Indian vegetarian, that is the Shudra diet which they are learning. They're not doing the Brahminical one.
Like I know it's tamasic. They have a tamasic diet. The Brahmin is sattvic.
Sattvic diet,
a sattvic diet is the Brahmin diet, and that's lentils, grains, and all of these good things, legumes.
And the seasoning is done in a very particular manner. Their seasonings are very particular, and so like first people have to learn that there is classes of vegetarian diet too. Okay, like just in the West, first people are just coming to know there is a vegetarian diet. Now they have to come to know the classes of vegetarian diet. You know, so that is another matter which is a good thing if it is brought out. I think this is the first time this has been brought out in any interview or anything on YouTube. Like that there is actually classes of vegetarian diet, you know, which people in the West should know that.
Absolutely. Yes, according to caste and according to acidity and alkalinity, the sattvic is the top, the rajasic is the middle for the middle, and then the bottom diet, tamasic. So and tamas. I speak a lot about tamas. Tamas is basically
ignorance.
A root. Yes, it is, and it's a root word in all languages. Thomas, Tamas, Tammuz. Okay. I'll stop there.
Yes. But so that ignorance thing, like that's what Kali was. Like Kali, like when people ask the age of Kali, I always tell them like it's just darkness. Kali just means dark. Like if you go into a dark room, like there's no light out there, then you'll be stumbling on things. You won't know what is there. You'll just hit the wall, not know what the thing is. And if someone puts a light out there, any kind of light, then you will be able to see the room. You'll be able to see the objects. You'll be able to discern what is what. And so that is what is happening. So like the Kali ignorance, darkness has happened. And now people are coming to know things. The light is being shown again. You know, so like then it's a different thing. So we are not in Kali Yuga anymore, actually.
No.
Because the light is being shown. And it's up to the people to see the light and behave accordingly. You know, like it is, we are at that stage. So, and I think the Vedic thing in the Brahmins, whatever Brahmins did not get corrupted within India, hold a lot of key to this actual change if it's going to happen in the West. And the West needs to actually learn from that, because I've been trying to say that, but people are not understanding in the West, like actually that this is where they can have a very quick learning thing where they won't have to go through all this experimentation. Like, you know, like which they have been doing in diet and meditation. What is meditation? What is all of this thing? And all this thing, like there's a lot of confusion. This so-called thing like yoga, for example. You know, now people are putting their legs behind their heads and stuff like that, which is again the same torture thing which the Europeans have been doing anyways. You know, that has been their cycle anyways. So they're still persisting with that cycle rather than coming to that's not how you attain higher consciousness. And that's not how you escape this earth plane to go to the higher planes. That's not how you do it, you know. So I mean, so all this has to, and obviously India has been responsible for like misleading the West as well, because of its own corruption, you know. So then so that people have to like sort of understand these things and move forward in a Vedic way where, you know, the light is more clear, everything is more clear, and you don't have all these nonsenses to deal with when you actually start going in that direction, you know, like, you know. So that is that'll be a good thing, you know. So
yes. So yoga and meditation and spirituality, it's all basically covered in knowing the creative force of God, nature, electromagnetism, the force of life. To know God, this is meditation. This is growing and expanding the mind through respecting your body with good food. I mean, we've come to an age where we are truly a wonderful being, humans, where we are intelligent, we have so many abilities, and yet we do not engage our mind when it comes to our programming. Think about it. Would you rather eat a plate of cherries or grapes or whatever your favorite fruit is?
Yes.
Or would you like to go to an abattoir?
Yeah.
And go and have a look. Spend a day at an abattoir to see where your next meat meal is coming from, and have a look at the fear and the terror in those animals. Have a look at the way they are mistreated, and even before that, way before they got to the abattoir, the fear that animals have in them, and the injections that they get, and the bad food that they get. It's all compounds.
It's hell
It's hell.
It's
hell. And then people go to the shop and they see this blood red rump steak and they think, oh, they think, and they're programmed to think that is food. And to think, would you rather have this bloodied, tortured, traumatized, fear-based, blood-shedding, murderous meal, or would you just like to pick a few cherries and eat living food?
Yes, Santos. What you're talking about is sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's a sense of aesthetics. It's a sense of aesthetics. Like now, these people have lost all sense of aesthetics. What you're talking about, that is an aesthetically pleasing thing, and that is an aesthetically displeasing thing. So the sense of aesthetics, which is called sanskar in Sanskrit, sanskar, have become so low that people are fine with hell. People are thinking hell is okay. It's okay to be in hell. Okay. But finally, like hell creates pain and torture. Okay. And finally, when pain and torture reaches a certain level, no one can handle it. There is no being in existence which can handle the pain and torture when it comes to them. Okay. So finally, they will have to move. They will have to move. All of these people, finally, it's a question of, like when the hell becomes deep enough and the pressure and the torture becomes deep enough, they'll all turn towards higher and divine. All of them. Every spirit, every being will turn towards higher and divine. That's why hells are created. Why are hells there in the first place? So that the spirits and beings who don't understand things in a nicer way, they have to understand things in a more extreme way. That's why hells are even created. I mean, when our creation was first created, this Brahman was created. It was created for pleasure and enjoyment and experience. It was not created for pain and torture or hell. It was not created for that. No. Okay, so that is only came when some spirits decided that they were not going to follow the laws of nature. They were not going to follow the laws of this Brahman, this multiverse and nature. That was a rebellion. Like, I am not going to follow it. Yeah, and that's it. And that's where the whole fall began. That's the fall. Okay, that has been there's descriptions in everywhere you go on earth about the fall, and that's what has happened. Because some spirits have decided not to follow the rules of the nature, and now like they're getting the brunt of it. You can do that action, but there'll be a consequence of that action. And it'll come back to you.
Yes.
And when it comes back, and then they can't handle it. Then that's why I have a joke that in hell, which is more than this earth plane, there are more hellish planes than this earth plane. When they go, these beings are put into those planes, they all raise their hands up and say, no, I'm going to do the right thing now. I'm going to be good now. I'm not going to do any of that. Like everyone puts their hands up and does that. It's only a matter of how much pressure is going to be applied, and that's going to happen. So that is the whole thing. So that whole thing was very clear in the Vedic thing about this movement.
So hopefully that experience in hell, which is, as you said, can be here and is here at present in the even in the Dvapara Yuga we're supposed to be in, but a mini golden age. But nonetheless, people, hopefully, when they go through that experience, will engage their mind and they will think. Because many meat eaters work out ways to justify their blood guilt. It's blood guilt. Yes. It's a shame. It's a shame because you're eating parts of creatures. So they work out clever little things like some arguments, for instance, they'll argue, I've saved 40 cats and dogs from animal pounds that were dying and I brought them home and I've saved 40. In the meantime, during those years that you saved 40 cats and dogs, you ate 17 pigs, 14 chickens, 18 cows, fish, lambs, not to mention birds and all other kind of pets of God. Why didn't you eat any cats or any dogs during that time? Why did you, or who made you the judge of you can eat those, but you can't eat those? No one touched the cats, they're pets. Let's eat the lambs. They're helpless and we can exploit them and they've got no, they don't say no. Do you hear the lambs saying, hey, we don't want to be eaten?
Yes.
So let's eat them.
This schizophrenia, like this schizophrenia you're talking about, this schizophrenia, like it's a huge schizophrenia about like what is an animal, like cat and dogs are fine, but the rest are all kill worthy. Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of psychological thing about this, like why the West is like that. Why is this thing happen in the West about the cats and dogs, and why they don't give the same respect to cows and lambs and other animals, is because the cow is never going to come wagging its tail to you. It's never going to please your ego. Okay, like a dog does. Okay, it's it's the ego massage which they get from the dog, which makes that thing more important to them than the other beings who don't do that. There are a lot of these beings in the so-called animal kingdom which don't do that. Like a cow can never be your pet. Okay, you can never make cow a pet. Okay, even if you keep a cow, and it's never going to be your pet. Okay, it's going to be its own being. Okay, it's never going to be your pet. Okay, so they don't like those kind of things which will not dance to their tunes, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Boost their ego.
Yeah. So there's a psychological aspect.
But
Wait, why this is so
the interaction between man and animal is so beautiful and so sacred. The way you can be friends with animals is so amazing.
Yes.
Dogs love to play, cats, it's just beautiful to go in nature. An elephant, all the animals are different. They're all so intelligent. Cows, lambs.
Yes.
You go to China, they say you can eat dogs, that's fine. You come here, you go to jail if you kill a dog. But thousands and millions of lambs every day being...
But the thing is, a lot of these dogs...
Silence.
Yes, the thing is that a lot of these dogs... A dog is opposite of God for a reason. Okay. I mean, the point is, the thing is that the whole dog thing, this, this interaction is sweet and stuff where, where animals are natural, where they're natural animals. Most of the dog species which are there in the West, they're not natural species anymore. Obviously, they have been made. They've been actually made up species to actually do a specific task for you. They're not wild, real, natural animals created by higher and divine forces. But those beings react differently to you. To get in tune with them and to be friends with them requires a different kind of attitude and approach. Which you don't have to do with the domestic cats and dogs in the West. Those beings are not even real animals anymore. Actually, those things, they are just created species, which are just there to boost your ego. So just that when you come home, this thing is wagging its tail at you and this kind of thing. It's an ego boosting machine. It's not anything else. And that's why they don't want these things to be hit at. So if anybody actually hits at it, I think they're doing a good thing. So it gives them a sense of perspective. You actually go to a wild, you see actual elephant, and to get your frequency going with that and to get a understanding going with a wild horse or wild elephant, you require a different kind of approach. You cannot be like the way you are with your pet. This word pet is a very dangerous word. That's where all this schizophrenia comes from, where they don't eat these particular things, but they eat everything else. Because this is their creation. They say it's their baby. That's why they don't eat it. It's not the baby of divine. It's their baby.
No.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So
all this forced breeding, it's all to serve the exploitation of man on the animals. Whereas once upon a time, man lived harmoniously with animals. We all lived in our natural surroundings. Animals came to us, bears, deers. We interacted, we communicated, they left, we went our own way, and we just moved between each other. There was a beautiful harmony. So,
but it wasn't your pet. Yeah, even right now,
that's right.
You can keep a cow. When you keep a cow, you'll come to know a cow can never be your pet. It never will behave. It's with you for 10 years. It'll still not behave like a pet. So, and there are beings who don't like that. They don't like.
No.
And that's why they're so against this kind of thing. That's why they killed and eat it. Because that's the whole reason. They're going hunting in the wild and killing all those animals who would not dance to their whims and fancies. Yeah.
Prashant, I have a beautiful video presentation that I have on my YouTube channel for the listeners, which is called the Ancient Historical Philosophical Western Vegetarian Plant-Based Diet by all the great philosophers. In there, it's under an hour. It's not long. It's about 45 minutes, and I've got all the quotes from Leonardo da Vinci, Plutarch, Porphyry, Ovid, all the great Seneca, all the great Brahmin philosophers of the West, Hebrew, the higher caste, very philosophical, beautiful Western system, who had been destroyed, their teachings, and how once upon a time, even in Rome, the main philosophy, Neoplatonism, because these are all Neoplatonists, most of them. So new Platonists, because Plato was a vegetarian. You don't become you don't become Pythagoras, who is known as the greatest genius who ever lived. If not second or third in every list I've ever seen. Since I was a schoolboy, the greatest genius known to man was always Pythagoras, vegetarian. You can't eat meat and get there.
And I'm sure none of these people had pet dogs either, or none of those Plato and Pythagoras, and none of them had pets. Okay, and these Pythagoras and Plato, like they all PT words, like, which is, my name is PT, like, Plato is, there's a PT, and Pythagoras there is a PT, there is this PT thing in all of Pitta thing in Plato, Pythagoras, everyone, like in the West also. There's a good synchronicity about this whole thing, like there's a that's how the universe functions, in this fractality and synchronicity. So that has been always the basic key behind these things. And so that's what my point was, that like this whole pet culture has to go along with the meat eating culture, like you can't be veg and then have pets and then consider yourself to be veg. Okay,
that's right.
So for the Westerners to understand what vegetarianism is, like, people in the West don't even understand. Like, they think that they're vegetarian even if they have a non-vegetarian partner. Then they think that they're still vegetarian. Okay, but you're not vegetarian if you have a non-vegetarian partner. No, you're not.
That's right.
I mean, so people in the West don't actually understand what vegetarianism is actually as a whole.
That's right.
You can't actually have a pet. You can't actually have any of these things. Then you are going in a different way of being, and a different way of living, and different way of functioning completely. How you deal with any other being, like, so so it's not like you can't play with animals anytime or you want to, but you can, but you don't own them. Like, there's a basic thing in this multiverse that no being can own another being. This is a basic pure principle of this multiverse. Okay, no being can own another being. Okay, so this
you cannot cage another being. You cannot do that. You can't, and get away with it karmically. You will suffer the consequences badly. And people who eat meat and think they're so clever, because they get their protein and iron, cancer, if anything, and heart disease. They think they're clever. They support that industry of exploiting animals and caging them. You will never be able to release that karma until you stop doing that. You've got to stop engaging in that. We can't be enabling that system. Sorry.
And what protein are they getting? If they are actually getting protein, then it will be brain protein. Okay, then your brain should be functioning very high. Like, your brain should be actually, like, really functioning at the top of its capacity if you're actually getting the protein. Like, if animals actually gave you the protein, then your brain would be on fire, with the protein and everything. Because I don't think that is a digestible protein. And why will you be so thick in the head?
No.
If you're actually getting protein, because protein is a head diet. It's for the bird brain. It's for the, like, your higher that thing. So I mean, in lentils you have that digestible protein which actually goes to your brain, which actually fuels the brain, but like the high part of the brain. Where is all of that in meat eaters? That's not there at all. I mean, they are the most dull retards, and they actually hardly have any energy to function. Even I mean, they're just so lazy, and in every way, shape, or being. Like, so, I mean,
no vitality at all, none at all. Just a beastly animal drive, money, greed.
But
It's
slow.
a psychopathic.
But slow. But most of the time, they just have to like lie down and just like lounge around just to even, function. I mean, they don't have hardly any energy. It's not anything. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a myth. It's a complete myth that which you said the Jesuits or whosoever has put out there, like that you actually get strong with meat, and you actually get high brain protein, because there has been no example of any being on earth who is eating meat whose brain is functioning at a high level. Like, there is no such example of any human being on earth, like even right now. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they can't give one. So there is nothing, like there's no, it's just not possible at all. Like, so like, I mean, their arguments hold no water anyways.
Yes, it's so crucial for the ascension process.
Yeah, and taking control of the body, for example, as a human being, if you give birth, you have to take control of the body. That's the basic thing. I mean, you have to do it. And the more you eat this kind of diet, I think the harder it is to take control of the body, because all these vibrations from all these things will trouble you so much that you are not able to calm your body down. And you're not able to take control of it. Because the big thing they understood very clearly, that you can't take control of the mind because mind is too fast, but the body is slow, and it's there, and you can take control of the body. So if you have a human body, your first job is to take control of this body. So to be centered in it, to be having a good diet, and to be having the right posture. And then once you have control of the body, then you can have right behavior, because as a being you have to be with other beings, whether it's higher beings or any beings. Then you will, unless you have control over your body, how will you have a proper behavior? Because that's not possible. So that's why most people are stuck on this plane, because they can't behave on the higher planes. They're not fit to go to those planes and exist there. Like, they're just not fit for that purpose. And if I look at all the system out here, the whole system on this earth is for one purpose only, is to make people's behavior worse. They're teaching people the wrong ways of using their body, whether it's hip hop or any of these things. It's a way of disrespectful behavior, the wrong behavior in front of beings. Like, and if you do that in front of a higher being, if you go like a hip hop person in front of a higher being, you're not gonna go get very far, like with that kind of attitude. They are teaching people to be irreverent to the higher forces. They're making them so that they will be completely irreverent to the laws of nature, to higher beings, to everything. So that is all the thing which is being taught. If you take all of the science, all of the entertainment industry, all of the media, all of the false science, all this nonsense, whatever they've been, education system, it's all for one purpose: is to make you irreverent, and is to deal with your little pet only, where you're the boss and you are just ordering your little pet around, just throwing a ball to it and it's bringing it back to you. And and this will lead to not any kind of evolution, basically. So that has been the whole purpose of this whole thing. Like people think it's for this or that. I think it's only for one purpose: is to make your behavior unpalatable for higher realms, basically, so that you can be here or go down further into more hellish states. Nothing else. So
Perfect.
And the diet is just a part of, like, of this whole conditioning which is coming at you.
Yes.
And obviously, when you eat meat, you're more susceptible to all of these programmings and conditionings which are coming at you from all these directions. So yeah. So yeah,
it's programming. It's programming. We have to unbreak that programming. We have been deceived on many levels.
Yes.
And especially the spiritual level. The spiritual level, it has been neglected, and the death cult, that's what I call it. The death cult took over the life cult. It was the higher castes, I guess you could say the aristocratic caste, was always a benefactor for humanity, because they applied and shared the wisdom of philosophy, of diet. But unfortunately, the Kali Yuga came, the Iron Age, and we all sank into depravity. Now, there's no excuse. The light is here. We have an information age. The internet is wonderful. We can learn so much. we can talk across the world like this and do hangouts.
Yes.
There's knowledge.
Yes.
And knowledge.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah. Not information. Knowledge. Knowledge which means knowledge is something which you can practically apply to yourself. Information is not something practically applicable. Knowledge is something which you can practically apply. And right now, for example, like I'm coming from a Brahminical that thing, and I'm trying to put this message out to people to teach them what Brahminical thing actually is. And so that was so in the West, if I see someone who's really sincere and seeking properly, so it makes more sense for me to talk to them about these things, to bring out the Brahminical knowledge to them so that they can understand what the whole game is actually about, and how we can move forward when we don't actually create this schizophrenia between material and spiritual, because there's a whole schizophrenia that material is something else, spiritual is something else. It's not actually. Like if you don't have material sense, you won't have spiritual sense either. These senses, these senses are connected to each other. So if you can't take care of your body properly, if you don't have the discipline with your own body, you are not gonna evolve spiritually either. You're not going towards higher frames of existence or anything if you can't even do this level 1. It's like a computer game. If you can't do even level 1, you're not going to level 2. Like it's not going to happen. And material sense is pretty much spiritual sense. Okay, so like how you live your life on earth in a material way, even like that's material only. Like if you're eating meat or if you're eating vegetarian, it's a material concept, but it has a spiritual effect. So all material things have a spiritual effect. So material and spiritual are connected. There's EM waves working in different ways. So what you see is matter is also EM waves. It's sound. And what is the spiritual world is again EM waves only. So my point is that people should not create this schizophrenia in their head. So a lot of people think that I can do anything on a material level, but I can be spiritual. I can eat meat, drink alcohol, I can do all of these things, but I can be spiritual just in a thought kind of way, which is they're just fooling themselves. They are just fooling themselves that like if you don't have the material sense, then you actually have spiritual sense. Like there is no action or consequence, or there's no karma or anything like that. Like there is. These are wrong notions which need to go as soon as possible. Yes.
Absolutely. Once I always say, once we free all the animals from all the cages in the world, then the animals will stop fearing us. They will stop running away from us. And we will live in harmony. And peace will be on earth. Tolstoy once said 150 years ago, as long as there are abattoirs, there will be battlefields.
I mean,
I suggest that there wouldn't even be 0.01% of vegetarians or vegans in any army around the earth. I can guarantee you that there will be very few vegetarians. They're all flesh eaters.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. That's why in India, a lot of places where I come from, they have not experienced any war in the last thousands of years. While the West has been having so many wars, and they have not experienced any such thing, and they have not experienced the bloodshed. But the people who have been in charge of the West, they haven't been actually organizing these bloodbaths. They organize the wars because they know that, like, once you have so many animals being killed around the world, it's a negative energy vortex. Now, to balance that, a certain amount of human sacrifice is required to balance that off. So they have to actually organize these wars just to have this mass culling of human beings to counterbalance the animal killing. So like, I mean, it's almost become like a sort of a okay, this many that much killed to this many humans. So I mean, obviously,
absolutely.
I mean, because they know otherwise society will completely collapse. They know that if they don't do that every so many years, the whatever the facade of society they have will completely collapse. People will go mad. Like, it'll become like people will lose all their mind and everything. Like it'll be total chaos. So that's why they are organizing these wars and that thing to balance this out. And people have to realize that they can't have peace. You know, when John Lennon was saying give peace a chance and all of that peace, while he was having his chickens for breakfast. You know,
Oh.
like yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah. So like so it's a in the West this they just don't get it. Like they don't understand. Like peace happens that you actually peaceful and you're not creating this kind of war with beings in the first place, you know. So for that you have to be peace with the natural laws and nature's laws and harmonious with them. That is peace, you know, not just a word which you just speak out,
Yes.
you know, just without any, like a hollow word. So yeah.
Yes. No more exploitation. We don't need to exploit anymore. We need to live and let live.
Yes, and for that, like you for doing that, you have to get over these egotistical ways of being, which people, and actually bow down to laws of nature and higher and divine forces. One has to have this sense of bowing down, because people are too proud and egotistical, and that's why they have not been able to learn the right things, even right diet. I find in the West, because the beings have become so egotistical and proud. That's why even when it's available to learn, they are not going to learn, you know, when the thing is available right there, and they're still not going to do it. So that just shows a very wrong attitude. Instead of a gratitude, which is great attitude, like it's a very wrong attitude, which is so that psychological attitude has to change from within. So not just the diet. When you start general diet, obviously it will help your attitude, but you have to actually be cognizant of learning, because the moment someone becomes vegetarian in the West, they have to have an idea that now I have to learn what vegetarian food is, like, and where do I find that, and like that there has to be a seeking, and there has to be a like a openness to learning that, you know. So
they've got to be ready. So people, when the student is ready, then the master appears. So the same would be with the diet. And I guess people have to be willing, you know, they have to be willing to raise their caste.
Yes. And be humble.
That's the whole, So humility will allow you to shed the programming. We've all been programmed. It's unfortunately, well, that's how we can justify the disbalance between here you can't eat dogs and cats, but in China you can, in Vietnam you can. So it's obvious, you know, we've done that. So we've been programmed. That shows how much we've been programmed.
And programmed.
So we have to break it.
Yeah, and programmed to actually behave in wrong ways, to use your body wrongly, to use a body without grace, to use our body without humility. Every kind of dance move which they teach people, or whatever, the way of being, is there to actually antagonize. Even the way people walk these days is graceless, you know. There's no grace to their being and existence. Okay, so that lack of grace will translate into everything, you know. And then you'll not actually get to a proper human state. Like you'll stay at a, like what I call like a barbarian state, like which will, the result of that will only be hell. Like that's where the whole Barbie and Barbarella and like all of that, and they have been programmed to think that that is actually beautiful and that's good, and that's actually something to strive for, you know. That state is something nice and good, or something to strive for, when it is actually a hellish state. That's nothing to strive for. That's where the programming is as well, you know. What people think is good and beautiful, and what is so that's where people want to go towards, you know. They've tried to make it appealing. Try to make hell appealing for people. Like, I mean, and people have fallen for it. Like, you know, people have fallen for that hell is appealing, you know, like so. But finally, when they get the pain and torture, which they're getting now, and that's why the hospitals are full everywhere. They are getting the pain and torture in all these devices, and then people are, so they will obviously have to realize that that's not where it's at.
Well, that's right. They will have to realize. Now, it's interesting because even the main media now is telling people that less meat will be good for your health. I've seen this so many times just in passing at people's places on the TV and listening to a bit of radio. I've been hearing it. So it's out there, but the effect, the delay for it to trickle down. But it's interesting that they're starting to say this.
Yeah, in Australia, like in Australia, that's a big thing in Australia, right? Like, I mean, in Australia, so much meat eating sort of place that people are not ready to give up the meat easily out there. Like in Australia, it's.
I don't think so. I don't think so. No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so flesh-based diet.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. That's for Australia. That's what I think. So for Australia, just to even have less meat kind of messages coming, it's a big deal. I find that, like, it's for a place like Australia where it's so much of that, like, you know, it is, you know, so like anything is a whole lot for them, like out there, you know, it's, I mean,
that's good.
And, yeah, it's there is changes happening. I'm sure changes are happening, and people are going to become vegetarian. I have no doubt about that. That people are going to turn towards
Me
veg.
too.
Yeah, but what are they going to eat once they become veg is the next step, which we need to worry about. You know, actually, like that is the whole thing, and that's where I think a whole lot of knowledge here in India in the Brahmins and that thing. If people want to actually learn that thing, I'm gonna try and take out more videos about the diet and stuff for people so that people can learn that. And if they want to know something about Vedic knowledge, they can start with like I've taken out a book called Peace Gita, so that people don't have to rely on the Bhagavad Gita, which was written 5,000 years ago, you know. But for this time, I've crystallized the Vedic knowledge in a form which people of right now can understand, you know, rather than Krishna talking to Arjun, you know. So and it's called Peace Gita, so people can look that up on my website, and you know, so that is there for people who are really interested in the, like, you know, this understanding the Vedic knowledge and the laws of the multiverse, you know, as per the timeless laws, you know, of what this universe is about, you know. So that is there, and I can I think you should have a read as well. I'll send you a copy, Santos. So
for sure,
have a little read of that, because you've had read the Bhagavad Gita now, so I think you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
So but I think we should stick to the present, because in that time Krishna was talking to Arjun. There are a lot of basics which are very clear to Arjun anyways. At that time, those beings had a lot of basics which were very clear. Their primaries were very clear. Right now, the situation is that primaries and the basics are not clear for beings out there. So we have to start from square one rather than take it from the level where Krishna is talking to Arjun from. Like, you know, we have to start from the basics, the primaries, and that's the only, because those beings like Arjun, they have their primaries very clear. Their basics are very clear in those beings, you know. So they don't have to be dealt with at that level. So the Vedic knowledge has to come and start from the foundation level, because then if you build a building on it, that'll last, you know. Without the foundation, there is going to be nothing. So like, so we have to do that, and we have to start from the very basic level of how to use your body and how to deal with it, you know, including diet, everything, posture, the centering, the speech, the diction, you know, because where there is diction, there is no addiction. Okay, where there is proper diction, there is no addiction. I can prove it. Like, if you train a person in proper diction, that person will automatically, if they were drunkard or they were taking whatever, they'll stop. They'll actually stop, you know. So lack of diction is addiction, basically. And that's why a lot of this world is suffering from all kinds of addiction. You know, even people become vegetarians, they're still addicted to coffee, like, you know, and tea and all these kind of things. I mean, you have to get past that too. Just because you became a vegetarian doesn't mean that you can drink coffee all the time now, you know, like, or tea all the time. Like, so the addictions have to go too. Yeah, like, I mean, so it has to be a holistic. Becoming vegetarian should become like a holistic thing. That you become a human being, which you use your body with grace. You use your body in a centered way. You speak in a centered way. You have proper diction. You are eating the right things. All of that has to come together into one whole. Otherwise, we can't do it in bits and parts. You know, if you just do it in bits and parts, then it will never work, actually. So that's the thing. And I think if you start giving that message out to people, because a lot of people listen to you in the West, So I want you to help me in this way so that you start giving that message out, so that
For sure.
we get a more awakening in this kind of way, in a holistic kind of way. Because in the word holy, they took out the W. So then people don't know what holy is actually, because they took the W out. Like only holistic is
right.
yeah. So I mean, they hate these things, like from the in language, and you know a whole lot about it. So there is no point me saying anything about it more. Like, but but we have to actually tell people that being vegetarian is more than just leaving meat.
Yes, it's absolutely necessary to be vegetarian to ascend, or in other words, to grow. That's the point. Let's call it, because there's many different variations or teachings on ascension, so people don't really understand what this is, I guess. But we're here to develop, grow, evolve, mature, attain, accomplish.
Yes, obviously. I mean, we are not here to be stuck in hell or cycle of birth and death, or pain and torture and disease and old age and disease and death. I mean, this is not a cycle for any being to be in. People are here only as punishment.
Yeah.
Obviously. I mean, these are beings which, this is a prison, and we are here for punishment, and we are not getting out until we do the right thing.
That's
it's
right.
A very simple thing. Like, so like when you're in prison, you need prison break. Prison break will only come from the right behavior, right attitude, right sense, and all of these right things. And it starts with not eating meat. That's a very starting basic point we start from, and we have to learn more about the whole thing. And I think we should take it further. So like you have been talking about this, like, and people are changing and the change is happening, and then we should take it further, the whole thing. So that's the whole point of us talking right now, and to understand what vegetarianism really is as a whole. Like, so there's more to it than just eating salad, like.
That's right. It's a lifestyle of devotion, of devotion to the truth path.
Yes. So all of
the
this,
philosopher king.
Yes, and actually, like not having this pet thing, ownership, all of this, like the changing of perspective in every direction, every field. It's a holistic thing, and people have to realize that, the posture, like, because a lot of people, even they become vegetarian, then they're not taking care of their posture. That's no good, like, so all of these things have to come together into a whole, like what it means to be a vegetarian, like what it demands of you as a human being, like, so all of that has to come into play, so
for sure. I've been very zealous for the last 10 years about vegetarianism, and sometimes I've been overzealous, and I have been you could say overexerting. So I'm not really pleased with that, but I am pleased with the fact that what I am zealous about is a very important thing. It's very important.
Yes, even if without zealousness, if you bring these concepts in front of people, what I discussed with you today, like simple things, I think people will listen to you, even if you drop the hints towards that direction, then so that'll, I think, take the process forward. I would think that'll be a good thing for the future in the West, and like, so it'll be a good thing. So, and like I'll have another talk with you sometime, and this is like my battery is running low, so I'll like end this meeting and we'll talk again sometime. And you can bring forth some things. Yeah, you can bring forth some things if you have something from whatever I've said today and whatever we have talked. Like, if there is anything you want to, like, that thing will
for sure.
So I
elaborate
on and things like that. So yes, it's nice talking to you.
Lovely. Yes, lovely. Likewise. Thank you, brother.